please find your seats. We'll be starting momentarily. Welcome to the Kroc School Graduation Celebration and Awards Ceremony. Now this is a celebration, so let's get the energy going. Put your hands together and stomp those feet. Let's hear it, folks. Come on, let's hear some noise. Welcome to the stage, our Dean of the Kroc School, Patricia Marquez!
Welcome, everybody. Wow, what an energy in this room. This is just... I don't know, so far it feels like my favorite evening of the year. So welcome, everybody. It's really a special moment to be here with you. I want to sort of say a couple of things before we give the space to our wonderful students and, of course, our guest speaker, which I'm going to introduce in just a second. I want to acknowledge that we're going to be live streaming this because we don't want anyone to be missing this. This is the Kroc School. We want to amplify our message. We are always willing to listen. How do we get that message across to the people who are here and people out, everywhere in San Diego, the world? So hopefully many of you are seeing this great ceremony today, wherever you are in the world. This is the first ceremony that we do this way, dedicated to our incredible and special and talented students. So we're really happy to do it this way. And we're delighted that we have so many partners who have supported us throughout the years, like the people from Rotary and who are sitting there. many of our scholarship donors who make things possible for all of you. So it's just a wonderful opportunity for them to see who you are. I also want to sort of go on and say about our incredible speaker tonight. And you know that's not an easy choice because there's so many wonderful people. So how do we select? And we really spent time with Frances and her team. Who would be a great person to invite to the first inaugural graduation ceremony that we do at our own theater? So after sort of deliberating and talking about people, we came and invited Teresa Smith. So let me tell you a little bit about who Teresa is. Teresa founded Dreams for Change in 2009. And she started this to grow the type of services, comprehensive services, to address issues of homelessness that had increased exponentially due to the Great Recession that started, 2007, 2008, 2009. So she couldn't just stand and just watch this disaster, this terrible situation that robs people of their dignity, among many other things. And she is such an innovator that working, with her experience and with team members, she launched this organization, and I'm going to tell you about some of the things that she's doing. I'm not going to go on and on, but I'm going to tell you about two things. One is the Safe Parking Program, and another one, which I'm very familiar with, is a food truck. And it's a food truck to provide fresh, healthy food to people who are in homeless situation. And is also a food truck that beyond providing food, also provides access to services that people who have no access to a stable home require. So it's creativity, and she'll tell you a little bit about that. And not only has she built this incredible organization that has these two programs, and the Safe Parking is for people who live in their vehicles. And this is amazing to me as a Venezuelan, because you think, how can such a wealthy country be facing the problems that it's facing at such a scale? Think about San Diego. How can this be happening here? And it's people like Teresa who are coming with solutions, just like you will in your own communities. But I want to say that in 2012 and 2013, Teresa was the main winner of what we know today as the Fowler Global Social Innovation Challenge. She didn't win once, she won twice. So that's how incredible her work is. So she has also been recipient of the James Irvine Foundation State Leadership Award. And if you want to hear even more, because you're going to be very curious about her leadership and everything that she does, she has been selected to be a speaker at the San Diego TEDx conference that is happening in June 10th. So get your tickets. And just a little bit of her background, just in case you want to know, how did she move in her professional journey? She has a BA from Western Michigan University in psychology. She has an MA in nonprofit leadership here from Seoul's USD. And she also has an MA and a PhD in human sciences from the California Institute in Human Sciences. So studying is important, and she'll tell you more about it. So let's show what we're made of. Welcome, Teresa Smith.
Thank you very much for all those kind remarks. So first, I want to start off by congratulating you on your accomplishments. I know it's not easy getting through grad school program, as you heard. I've done it a couple times myself. I know there's that extensive time and effort, all the heartache that you put into it, that time away from your family and friends, those group project woes that, we know as to how those go. We don't have to say anything more. But I am honored to be here and to help celebrate this day and this weekend with you. So I was asked to come out and speak of my journey, as I have, as if I've come to some great place. But as I kind of reflected on it, I see myself as kind of in this motion of journey. that really has no place or end, but is more of an ongoing process and an experience. So I don't see that I'm in some great place. That greatness, I think, is still yet to come. So just yesterday, for example, I was interviewed by Channel 10 News for, I think it was for a monthly leadership type thing. And they kept asking about what brought me to this work. And as I often get asked, just as I did in this moment. So I took the easy way out and spoke of kind of my family with disabilities, how it made me more compassionate and caring, and all the good qualities that kind of brings. But it wasn't really the full answer. I left out kind of an important part. And I think it's important to recognize and acknowledge that time, that really are those the defining moments that kind of change our path and our trajectory to where we're at today. Because we all have those paths. And there are definitely moments that we may not know at the time, but put us to where we are and where we're going. So kind of as I previously mentioned, my family had multiple individuals with various disabilities. Muscular dystrophy ran rampant on my dad's side, my uncles, my grandma. My little brother was born with severe cerebral palsy and physically kind of at the level of a 6-month-old. So that did provide me a kind of a foundation of caring and compassion and have a lot of patience. But like I said, that didn't put me to where I was at. It was just kind of that foundation. Because really what put me where I was at was that my dad was a severe alcoholic, and there was constant terror in the house. And there was, always kind of that chaos. And we owned my own businesses unsuccessfully over the years, my family did. And so we worked in the businesses until I was old enough to babysit my sister and my little brother with cerebral palsy. And there was a defining moment at a time when I was about 11 years old. My brother, who we found out had pneumonia, and I was watching him, and it was at a point of time where he was crying, I was upset, didn't know what to do, and it literally felt like his life force was leaving his body. And I called my mom and told her she needed to come home immediately and that he needed help. And she did, and she rushed into the hospital, and he is fine. But that evening, I laid in bed thinking and praying to God, if I can get out of this situation, I will dedicate my life to services, if I can just survive. And that's where it started. That following year, I joined a youth group and a youth support group and had the opportunity to be with other kids that were experiencing very similar lives. And it put me on a speaking tour. I got to speak across the state at different conferences and really kind of gain that confidence that I needed to know that there was an opportunity and that I could make it. And that was started in the way out. Along with that, I also knew that college was important. I watched our family struggled with running these small businesses. It was a ton of work and a lot of heartache. So I knew I needed to get that education. So as soon as I graduated high school, I left home 2 weeks later and was heading off to college to study psychology. Because I figured if I was going to help people, I needed to figure out why they did what they did. And psychology seemed like the answer to start with. I started at Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. It was a small private school, working 3 jobs, trying to pay for school. Realized quickly I was going to burn out and wasn't going to make it. So I joined the Army Reserves. Great way to earn some college money and add that to the resume. I figured, what's an added experience? So joined the Army Reserves, got some college money, and got back into Western Michigan, where I did eventually graduate with a college degree in psychology, a BS in psychology. But through that process, that need to be of service to the community was still there. I also learned in that process that direct service probably wasn't going to be the work for me. It was very heartbreaking. I had a few jobs around that. So I had to find a different way. And my undergrad was very science-based. I really enjoyed the science. And so I looked at some grad schools. I knew I had to get out of Michigan, a couple reasons, because of the, in essence, family history and, honestly, the cold weather. Not very pleasant there in Michigan. It's the cold. And so I headed out here to California with 3 different grad schools in mind and ultimately landed here in San Diego. It just felt like when I got here, this was the place I had to be and needed to be. So I started grad school, my initial grad school at Human Sciences and PhD. And while working on those degrees, I had to work, obviously, and make a living to pay for the school and put a roof over my head. So I started back in some of that direct service type work and really started working on some youth development projects and eventually landed in anti-poverty work with a fairly medium-sized organization here in San Diego. And within that work, we were looking at generational poverty and what was around generational poverty. And, they've had, the organization I was working with, they had this particular county contract for over 15 years, doing the same type of work. And after doing that for a few years, I started questioning what we were doing. We're putting millions of dollars into this work, and we're dealing with generational poverty. In of itself says its name. We're not changing, we're not making a difference. We're serving the parents, and then we're serving the children as they become adults, and we're not changing the cycle of poverty. And for me, it was very frustrating, because a lot of times we asked, what's going on? How do we, like I said, I came from that kind of science researchy kind of background. What are those true outcomes? And at the time, most groups were not even looking at outcomes. We were counting the widgets. We served this many people, how great we were. We provided this many food packets. We had this many people come through the door. But I wanted to know, well, then what? Who cares if they're not moving out of poverty and moving on to stability and out of, and in the positive direction? So that sat with me for quite hard as that recession kind of hit. Because I had that kind of, it was one of those kind of moments again. Do I stay in this field? Can I continue to perpetuate these issues, this wasting of money, these, the whole host of feelings and angst that came with that? Or do I just get out, go find me a job, make some real money, buy me a house and move on with my life? But then I would think back to when I was 11 and 12 and that commitment I had made. And I knew that I needed to stay and find the answer. So as the recession was hitting, that kind of brought more to light around a new poverty. And that goes back to, are we going to do the same thing with this new generation coming to our door, where they're going to start this poverty pathway and never be able to get out? And homelessness started exploding even more so. And one of the projects, I was partly managing was a small portion of a homeless project. So clients were coming into our doors seeking services, never been touching the systems before. Just lost their job, just lost their house, all because of the recession, asking for help. And we do it, what we did. It's what we knew, it's what we had. Send them down to the shelters. They come back screaming, saying, I don't know where you sent me, but I'm not homeless like that. I used to make six figures. I'll have a job here again in a few years when this recession ends. I'm not going to subject myself, to my children, to that environment. And then, basically came down to I'd rather stay in my car. It's what I got left. So after hearing that a few times, I was talking to a group, a coalition of homeless providers in our East County region. How can we help these individuals? Once again, with that goal of not starting a cycle of generational poverty. And so we started looking at this concept of safe parking in a way to kind of bring people together and help them in some way. So I recruited a group of students from San Diego State University and Cal Western Law School to kind of do some research of what that would look like here in San Diego. And we brought that presentation back to this coalition group. And it was great. They figured out a way how we can legally do it around property laws and those kind of things. Social worker students laid out a good groundwork of what that service and program could look like. And as they presented and we went around the group to kind of talk about it, the same answers I kept hearing again. Well, that's nice, but it's never been done before, so why would we do it? And no one pays us to do it. So why would we do it? Because we do what we get paid to do, and we do what we've always done. And then the third reason, which always baffled me, because they were homeless providers, why would we gather a bunch of homeless people together? That just sounds like trouble. I'm like, because we want to help them, because that's what we do. So the combination of those was it. It's like I knew at that moment I could not continue on the path I was at, because here we had a potential solution that could help a significant amount of people and families that everyone just was backing away and turning a blind eye because it was too hard. There was no money, all these other negative things. And so I, discussed with my spouse, now, it wasn't at the time, of quitting my job and taking this project and running with it. And with her full support, that's what I did in the height of recession. I said, basically, screw it, I'm done. I won't do this anymore. I got to do something that either is going to make a difference or get out of the field. And that's kind of how Safe Parking and Dreams for Change came to be. So really within that year, between 2008 and 2009, we formed the nonprofit. We started laying the groundwork to launch that project. And by April of 2010, we opened up our first safe parking site. We had 2 or 3 people the first night. By week 2, we were full. The site was full of 15, 18 spots and have had to carry a wait list since. So since 2010, we've had a wait list for this program, regardless of how many new sites and new spots we open up, because the program, the issue has just exploded over the years. So that really started the journey of Dreams for Change for me for the last 13 years. Because like I said, the journey is long and there's many segments, and I'm sure there's going to be many more as I continue to proceed. But as Dreams for Change continue to develop, it goes back to, for me, how do I continue to utilize my skills and knowledge around research to find where there's breakdowns in the systems, where there's gaps in the systems, where there's leverages that need to be tweaked and or changed to see if we can actually make a difference in some of these different issues. And safe parking was a great project to start with because it had great results to evaluate on the, once again, like I said, I'm big on evaluation, evaluated on the end. We can see right away the difference it was making. People were not losing their cars and ended up on the streets. They were able to use that car to get that job. They were able to move forward by having that great night's sleep. So one of the things that we kept hearing from our clients at Safe Parking, because that's a big piece of being, I think, innovative and in tune and being able to move forward, is listening and listening to those who are speaking and who are of a need. But what we kept hearing, once again, is we spend our day looking for food. And I was like, well, what do you mean you spend your day looking for food? Well, we have to go to this center over here to get our brunch, kind of breakfast, lunch, and then we have to go across town to get our dinner. That's who's serving dinner. And that's Monday, and then Tuesday we have to go over here, and it was all over the place. And they were spending their day chasing food and standing in lines, because it was 2 hours to stand in the lunch line, and as such. So I did it once again, grabbed those students from San Diego State. 2 years later, different students, same class, Cal Western. We got a problem. People are spending their days who are experiencing homelessness looking for their meals. We need to figure out what's going on and how we can solve this. And at the same time, the county's hollering at us, hey, we have all these CalFresh, aka food stamp benefits, that people are just not applying for, that they could use to purchase and help with some of their food insecurities. So that became part of that initial research. So we spent about 3 months canvassing downtown and mapping all the different food that was going out to those on the streets, everything from the soup kitchens to those who pulled up and opened up the trunk and handed out, different foods. We interviewed tons of people on the streets about their experience around food, and came back with all this knowledge. And the deal I made with the students at the time was, if you could find a project that's sustainable, we would launch it. Thinking in the back of my head, sustainability is the hardest thing ever to do in nonprofit world. So I'm thinking, they're not going to do it because we just launched Safe Parking 2 years ago. But we'll get a lot of good research and we can look down to the future. And as they started moving along, they came across this kind of neat idea of running it as what's called a social enterprise, which at the time was a very, very new term, to be able to accept those food stamp benefits, because the legal side found the loophole and being able to serve hot meals and be able to accept those benefits. And they put together a project that was sustainable. So here I am. I had just recently started the USD program because, as I mentioned, as I started the nonprofit, I wanted to make sure I was doing it in best practices and, learn on all the aspects of starting a nonprofit. So that's kind of why I went into the USD program. They had this, social innovation challenge. Let's throw this project in there, just, kind of test its validity at this point in time to see if this is a project that could be supported. because it does obviously need a little bit of capital up front in order to build in that sustainability. And, we basically reinforced that the idea was, in essence, a winner by taking that top prize. And it gave us that seed money to buy our first truck. And we ended up launching that project 2 years after safe parking. And so, we got into the food truck business, knew nothing about it. Took a couple of years, lots of crazy stories on how getting those trucks going, but now I know them inside and out. But it was, once again, that other opportunity that we saw based upon what we were hearing. And we were the first in town to be able to accept those benefits for hot meals. And so there was this shift. Now those experiencing homeless on the streets were able to get a meal where they were at, because we take the food truck down to them in a dignified manner, because they were just like any other customer. They could pick from an array of menus from anything they wanted, pay through their CalFresh benefits. If they didn't have it, we'd help them get those benefits, and then complain if they didn't like the food like anyone else, which is great and which is fine, because that's how it should be. And that truck still operates today, still goes downtown 5 days a week. But at the time, too, we knew that we just didn't want to be a food truck operator. The thought was either we turn this project over to someone to run and run some food out there, or we make it something more. And so we saw that as an opportunity to completely turn it into a workforce training program. So once we figured out how to actually run the food truck, we were able to shift that and start training others. So now it's incorporated into full what they call employment social enterprise, where we serve about 100 individuals that are facing high barriers to employment. Oftentimes they're literally sleeping on the streets, but want that avenue and way to get out. And employment is definitely a key way to do that. So we put them to work on the food trucks, and then we're actually expanding the program and putting them to work in a variety of different fields at this point. But that food truck is the start for everyone. So it's, once again, it's different. It's out of the box. It wasn't done before, and it's making a difference on a variety of fronts now, providing meals and providing work opportunity and training opportunities, because we pay them to work. They come on, we take them as they are and start paying them to work. So, as I've gone through, the iterations of Dreams for Change and the different development of programs, for me as Cohort, I really stayed close to our mission. And it is that being that innovative and kind of using some cost-effective measures, because I keep mentioning we spend a lot of money and waste a lot of money in this field, but to be very cost-effective so we can serve more and do more. While trying to make those changes and trying to find those leverages in those changes, because they are important, and it's those are what we see are making those kind of differences. And I guess one of the other things I think I briefly talked about beyond what we base a lot of our work in is asset building strategies, because we were looking at trying to figure out how to build that kind of housing and financial stability to kind of end this homelessness. Because if we can at least get to that base where people are housed and financially stable, I think we can make some progress on that. And so beyond, workforce development, beyond safe parking, we're bridging other techniques such as leveraging tax credits. We know, once again, from the research we do, like I said, I like to do a lot of research and a lot of surveying. We know from our research that our clients are using their tax credits to pay for their rent. While at the same time, we also know 20+ million get left unclaimed here in San Diego alone in our low-income families just because they're not filing their taxes. So we do a lot of tax work and find kind of some different leverages from putting sites in malls to destigmatize the work from going into a nonprofit. And so oftentimes where we're at now in kind of in our space in the community is such. If someone has a problem, they're not quite sure how to solve it, oftentimes we're getting a call. And the most recent call has come in the last 2 weeks from the city. As if anyone pays attention to the news, the homeless issue in San Diego continues to explode. And everyone's at their wit ends is trying to figure it out. So we're working the city to try to bring in a new project again, around a safe camp, kind of tweaking the safe parking model and doing some more camping type stuff. So another opportunity has presented itself, and we're kind of here to answer that. And that's kind of where we're here. So, as 13 years later here, as I stand before you, we do face many new opportunities to expand and to reach more. We are engaging more and more in advocacy work. As we know, this work can't be done just at the front lines, but we have to make some influences at the government level and at the policy level, because that's how we're going to start driving more systematic change. Because it doesn't matter what we do on the ground to help people, if we don't start changing those systems, we'll never move some of these needles. So kind of as I mentioned, this journey, it feels like it's been long, but it's only in many ways just beginning, because change is not easy. So kind of as I look out to you guys as graduates, for some of you guys, your journey is just beginning. Maybe you've just been in school this whole time and you've plowed through your undergrad, straight into grad school, and you're going out to your first, what I called at the time, my first real job that wasn't flipping pizzas or doing something like that. But is that beginning? Or maybe you're in that middle of that path. When I started here at USD with my, the nonprofit program, I was kind of in that middle of that path, trying to figure out how to hone that in a little bit more, and to be, as impactful as possible, and get the right skills. And obviously graduate school is a great place to grab some of that knowledge and skills. But it doesn't matter wherever you are on that path today, is to kind of take a look at, this is probably one of those defining moments. I know each time I stepped on the stage for graduation, that was a defining moment. A time that I knew I was staying on track and on the path I had committed to when I was 11 years old. And even though the struggles can be hard at times, yeah, we've had a lot of good success with Dreams for Change, but there has been a lot of struggles. Dealing and working in a homeless space is very difficult and very heartbreaking work. The pushback you get from the communities, the ineffectiveness of governments, the trauma that those people experience on a day-to-day basis. But one thing you can rest assured is that you can take the knowledge that you've learned here and all the experience and that your passion that you've had to go out and make that change in the world and to make the world a more kind and peaceful place. Because it's programs like this and students like you that make this happen. So thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to talk to you guys today and sharing this moment with you. I do appreciate it, and good luck.
Teresa, thank you so much for your inspiring story and for the amazing work you do. You inspire us all. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frances Lavis-Count. I'm the Assistant Dean of Academic Affairs for the Kroc School, and I'll serve as oh, I feel the love. Thank you, thank you. I'll serve as a somewhat of a MC for this afternoon. I have to say that you guys look amazing. Congratulations. Kroc proud, right? You got the hashtag? Kroc proud. We now have the privilege of hearing from some of our most esteemed program chairs. Following their remarks, we'll have a special moment of recognition for our graduates. I now invite Dr. Paula Cadero, Chair of the Master in Social Innovation Program, to the stage. Woo!
Thank you, Frances. Okay, I'm looking at those mossy students out there. Masters in Social Innovation. So, papers are passed in, projects are completed, your portfolios are done. Congratulations. So you're finished, and tomorrow you're going to walk across the stage and you'll be awarded a master's degree. Your Massey homework is over. But in an ever-changing world, we need to be constantly learning and developing ourselves, reinventing ourselves. In a blog that is on my website this week, Roshan Paul was being interviewed by an MAPJ student, Eva Kozler, and she quoted Roshan, our first innovator in residence, as saying, "You're going to have to do homework forever." The world is changing so rapidly. Careers change. You just heard Teresa talk about how she reinvented things along the way. Work changes, and we have to reinvent ourselves several times during our lifetimes. I've seen students come through the MASI program who are just starting their careers, trying to figure out what they're going to do, what the first job is going to look like. That's the first iteration of your career. Other MASI students come to the Kroc School already having a career, but looking to reinvent, reimagine. And you know who you are, and I can see you. Now, I can relate to this. I never dreamed that I was going to teach a course called social entrepreneurship. I never dreamed I was going to go and develop a global seminar, thank you, Dean Marquez, on social impact for mid-career business people. But the world is changing so quickly that it's not about acquiring knowledge. Everybody can do that. We can Google, we can use ChatGPT, right? But it's about synthesizing the knowledge and implementing it, and how to use that knowledge to good ends. The MASI faculty, on behalf of Dr. Roche and Dr. Choi Fitzpatrick, we wish you well on your social impact journey. You are indeed change makers, and we have provided you with some tools for you to use. But the reality of it is that your career is not in the answers that you learned in the Kroc School. Your career is in the questions that you have learned to ask. There is genius in each of you. Go out and do the work. Congratulations, felicidades, parabéns. Now,
Congrats, Masi. Woo! Let's make some noise for Masi. Hey, please join me in extending a warm welcome to Dr. Sarah Fetterman, faculty for the Masters in Conflict Management and Resolution program. Sarah, woo!
I think you always get attached to your first class. Like, we've been through this year together, so I'm like really sad that you're leaving. I really will miss you. Just 3 quick things, and one is that, you know, we're often seeing quotes on the internet and of Einstein, Jane Goodall, Frederick Douglass, even Peter Singer, but like they're always old in the pictures. But they were your age when they did the cool stuff. right? Like Peter Singer wrote Animal Liberation at 29, right? Frederick Douglass escaped, right, when he was younger, and Jane Goodall was 20 in her 20s in like the jungle by herself. So I believe in wisdom, I believe in age, I hope age is good because that's where I'm going. But I really want to say, like, go for it right now. Like the things that you're asking that Paula was talking about, the conundrums that Teresa was talking about, like listen to those, ignore everything else, and just friggin' go for it. And tell us how the great stuff you did. And remember that this is team. Like, this is teamwork, right? That's why, finally, the Nobel Peace Prize gave the Peace Prize to a program, the World Food Program, because they understand that it takes village, and you all in the back are the family and friends, right, who have supported everybody here. This is teamwork, so thank you for coming. And you will be all team for each other. You are going to support each other and crisscross in your lives in ways that you will not anticipate, even if you rarely spoke in the program. And last one, and so many of you do this already, so I'm just encouraging us all to develop a craft if you're going to be working in this long term, because it will break your heart, as Teresa was saying. You know, if you don't have music, a lot of you do music and poetry, sing, you write. It's just, you're going to need something like that to grapple with all of this and express it, because otherwise you're just going to go numb, and you don't want to do that. So develop your craft, be terrible at it. I plunk on the guitar, like I don't know if I'm any good, nobody listens, but it just like helps me like process it all. So you're the perfect age, work in teams, you know, go for it and develop your craft. And now come up to the stage, receive your degree, and get out there and make us proud.
Let's give one more round of applause for the Massey graduates. Now it gives me great pleasure to introduce Associate Dean and faculty member Dustin Sharp, who will share a few words on behalf of the MAPJ program. Dustin.
It's so amazing to look at all of you, because I think back to the dark ages when I started here, and we were graduating about 20 people per year, and so we're over 60 this year. So I hope you can come back in 10 years and there's 2 or 3 times as many. Won't be able to fit in the theater, but that'll be a good problem to have. So in reflecting upon your experience in graduate school for the Masters in Peace and Justice, I started to think a bit about my own graduation 21 years ago, and I kind of realized that what I did didn't take a lot of courage. The worst thing that could have happened to me was I would have ended up making a lot of money on Wall Street. And luckily I avoided the worst, and thankfully don't have those millions to contend with. But as we graduate as we gather to celebrate your graduation, I want to tell you how much I admire you and how much courage it takes to do what you're doing, to step off the beaten track of conventional success and to do something like get a Master's in Peace and Justice. What is that? So, you may have heard the quote, sorry if you've heard it already, the planet does not need more successful people. The planet desperately needs more peacemakers, healers, restorers, storytellers, and lovers of all kinds. And I think you are those people. You are the people the planet needs. And you will be a success. Maybe in the conventional terms, maybe you'll make Wall Street money. But I like to think you'll be successful in the ways that truly matter, in terms of, you'll be a success in terms of your service to others, in terms of your ability to alleviate suffering, in terms of spreading compassion and understanding. And with this type of success, you're going to be doing something that's actually radical in this world. It's actually countercultural. Now, when you look out and look forward, the world seems pretty scary right now. Global pandemics, disequilibrium in the biosphere, the rise of polarization, the collapse of the epistemic commons and its implications for collective sense-making and problem-solving, shifting of the global geotectonic plates, I could go on. These are things that give rise to understandable fear and uncertainty in the future, but for you, just call that job security, right? Problems are a good thing to have in our field, right? You'll never be without a job. So in charting that course ahead, I'm reminded of a line from Alan Watts, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, "Faith is a state of openness or trust in the universe in which we do not cling to the old certainties, but relax and remain open to truth and the possibilities for collective action, allowing us to float in the water rather than sink as we navigate the changing tides ahead." And the world is going to be looking at you to help navigate those tides, and I have faith in your ability to do it. To paraphrase the rock band Modest Mouse, you'll all float on, okay? So thank you for your courage, thank you for your heart, thank you for your smarts, thank you for choosing Kroc. It was a privilege to accompany you on this journey, and it's a joy to come to see you not as students, but as my colleagues. Thank you.
Let's thank our faculty once again for our heartfelt remarks. Okay, what an eventful afternoon. The atmosphere is electrifying. Congratulations. Woo, woo. Next, we'll hear from our graduating students. We will begin with remarks from Angelica Sanabria, President of the Kroc Graduate Student Association. Now, without further ado, please welcome an amazing young woman, Angelica Sanabria.
I'm short. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome everyone again here, especially the loved ones that came here to celebrate your favorite Peace Studies student, or I hope that they are your favorite. Before I begin, I also want to remind ourselves that we are on unceded Kumeyaay land and that this land knows no borders. Much like this borderless land is the borderless appreciation I have for our faculty and staff here today, especially those of you that have put this beautiful ceremony together, and I guess it's the first time we've done it, so thank you. All right, well, it's an absolute honor to be talking to my colleagues, my peers, my fellow thinkers, my friends. And it's really great to see them surrounded by the ones that support them and love them and that have supported them throughout their journey as they obtain their degree. While these degrees were being earned, we dug deeper into our identities, learned more from one another, and made connections while doing so. If it isn't already obvious, we've grown to be quite a bit of a family here, and there's a lot of love in this room. Although that word is often thrown around, I definitely mean it here. We're leaving here transformed, and it's because of one another. I've seen how the connections we've weaved together inspired change in all of us. When we embarked on this journey, many of us were taking a leap of faith. We found few alternatives viable enough to compete. And when we got here, we found something different to what we came searching for. We found one another. And together we built and reconstructed and built again and weaved ideas for how we were going to affect change. We've been challenged to question our perception, our preconceptions, to confront head-on what we thought to have known before. And through this building and rebuilding, creating and co-creating, weaving and re-weaving, we've emerged, I think, braver, softer, and with our ear to the ground, listening. So it's my belief that as we tend to the spaces we find ourselves in community, in a classroom, in a courtroom, in an agency, or everywhere else, that we'll be brave and vulnerable enough to inch that corner of the universe towards the bright future we've been envisioning here. In this way, it's a privilege and a responsibility to hold that dream of the future in our purview always, to whisper previews of it to those around us, to grasp the fold of our world and paint frescoes of the future with it, to nudge the souls around us and ask, do you see it? Graduates, friends, co-thinkers, and co-creators, I ask that you move forward in all that you do with the bravery to weave, paint, and advocate for the world we've spent days and nights mulling over together. Now that my mind isn't completely occupied with schoolwork lately, I've been reconfiguring myself with the world. It feels like a giant, well now, where were we? And in pivoting away from my schooling towards my career, there's a heaviness. There is fear, there is doubt and anxiety still. But if I am to feel certain about one thing, it's that whenever I feel down or not giving myself grace or going in circles for one reason or another, I know for certain that it's y'all that I will turn back to remind me of the world we want to see. It's you I'm running back to refill my cup. I hope you see this in one another, and I hope you see it in me. Congratulations, friends. Thank you. And with that, I have the pleasure to introduce Michelle Kamau speaking as the MAPJ class speaker.
Okay, so I'm a lot taller than Angelica. I'm just gonna raise that. All right, hello everyone. How we feeling? How we doing? So I was selected to be the Masters in Peace and Justice speaker for the year, and I kind of had a hard time trying to figure out what to say, because how do you capture the experience of multiple people at the same time within 2 minutes, right? And so what I'm going to talk about today basically is just something that I observed and things that I learned from my group. And so this, I will use an example, right? So one of my core memories here at Kroc School was this one time after a data visualization class with Professor McDougall, or we call Topher. He came up to me and he asked me, oh, how are you doing? Oh, wait, no, sorry, vice versa. We had just had the class, and I walked up to him and I told him that I am a good student. I'm just having a difficult time, but I am a good student. And in that space, he gave me a chance to just feel uneasy the way that I did, but he also was very reassuring. He allowed me to step into my space, to be in my space, and then move on from it. He did not shame me for how I felt. And so one of the things that I observed over the last 2 years is that we have all battled with imposter syndrome in one way, shape, or form. And one of the coolest things about being able to be here is just being able to see how we have progressed, how we have changed, how we have developed. And part of that is by virtue of being in proximity to one another. And part of that is also realizing that your voice matters and you hold your space proudly. And no one should shame you for it, right? And so one of the things that I've been walking around with is this coin. And it has two faces, right? So one side reads Gen Shy, and I'm just going to read you the meaning of the word, which says, never treat another person in a manner that would make them feel small, including yourself. And so in whatever it is that you decide to do, whether you're coming in as a peace builder, you're coming in as an innovator, you're trying to impact policy, whatever it is that you do, never make another person feel small, including yourself. And so believe in the value that you bring to whatever it is that you do. Thank you.
It's okay. I got you, girl. I now welcome Matthew Holloway, class speaker for Masters in Conflict Management and Resolution.
How we doing? How we doing? All right, I'm from Mississippi, so we like call and response. Dear peers, colleagues, friends, families, we thank you for coming out and celebrating with us. I'm happy to celebrate with you all on this momentous occasion. Tonight, I'd like to remark quickly on why we all came here, which is, in my opinion, love. For families, when you heard about your beloved being celebrated, you decided to come. And for us, as Kroc students, when we heard that beloveds in the world were being harmed and unloved, we came here. So love called us. Whether it was witnessing our environment in need of repair, seeing our children in need of care, or watching our country, communities in deep need of love, we answered love's call to care for someone. And through our studies, we constructed arguments for why others should care too. Yet, if we're being honest, we have to grapple with the truth that we cannot approach the things of social change, peace, and justice through intellect alone. They are not just merely matters of the mind as they are matters of the heart. And so the root crisis that we all are tasked with addressing is the crisis of carelessness and the culture of pain that feeds upon suffering. So when everyone has experienced some form of violence, the central question we must ask ourselves is, how do we mend our broken hearts? Convincing us that love doesn't live here on this planet, and that our pain, our pleas, and our suffering go in vain. And to all of the survivors in this room, you are right. Too often we suffer in silence because we don't believe or we have not been heard in public. So we dare not risk the threat of being rejected in public and being ignored. And what I've learned from our stories shared is that pain and suffering are quite pedestrian. They have visited us all in this room. And if so, social change is much closer, much more intimate than we realize. We don't have to get a degree. We don't have to read books to feel for someone. Roxanne Gray writes that as a public, we are owed a debt to one another, and that debt is the debt of belonging, and it's time that we pay that back. And for me, that debt is love and care. So if we want to do social change, belong to someone, belong to some place, somebody, be brave enough to say, I will care for you, I will love you. I will belong to you. You are mine. I will be responsible for you. Care is the rent we pay for community, and the commitment shows that we can see how beautiful brokenness can be when we are allowed to be reminded that we don't have to be put together to be together. And so if we are really serious about this thing, social change, it is as intimate as cooking a meal for a friend, as small as saying thank you, hello, and please to a stranger. It is as soft as saying I love you still, even though you hurt me, and as strong and bold as saying I am sorry for hurting you. Change is an intimate affair that happens in the most private place of them all, our hearts. And if we are really, really serious about this thing called social change, I dare all of us to love ourselves, flaws and all of our contradictions, our contested histories, because then we will realize the only way we can meet love is through compassion. It will carry us to love's footsteps. And we will realize that we do not need a password, a secret knock. We don't have to yell or scream to be let in. Love lets us in freely. So my suggestion to us all is to come home to love as often as possible and recognize that whenever we have to leave, a piece of love follows us wherever we go. And in that way, love is always in the world because you, my peers, the people in this room, you are in the world. And lastly, I want to thank all of these lovers, because oftentimes it's a thankless work of showing up time after time again to a world that sometimes rejects the love and the care that we fight for. And I want to thank the families for loving them as they go out and love the world. Thank you.
Please join me in welcoming Stephanie Montez.
I'm a lot shorter, so I have to put this down. Thank you, Francis, and thank you to everyone here who has joined us for this ceremony celebrating the graduates of the graduating class of 2023. My gratitude extends to the Kumeyaay Nation, whose land we have all had the opportunity to live, to learn, to study from, and have this special celebration today. My name is Stephanie Montes, and I have the honor of being here with you all today, sharing this space as we celebrate. As many of you remember, part of our journey here in our class, master's class in social innovation, we started the program defining what social innovation meant to us. Though, given our experiences, our interests, our professions, our personal backgrounds, this definition was different. Different, but not wrong. It was different, but it was still very powerful. The glasses that we see the world through will always vary in intensity, in colors, in shapes, in materials that will craft our definitions of what innovation looks like for our lives. But our ability to innovate glasses that peace and justice can be seen for you, for your family, for your neighbors, for your community, for your ancestors, this will all look very different and does not take any meaning of the reason why we are here today, and our lived experiences are just as valid as anyone else's. Our ability to innovate these glasses so that peace and justice can live through all of us will always be remaining very, very hopeful, and to know that everyone in this room has the possibility to create social change, Even if you don't have a specific degree, a specific title, a specific job profession, we all have the ability to innovate our own story, the way that we love each other, the way that we care and create community with one another. That in itself is an innovation. And as we depart away from the Kroc School of Peace Studies, I feel confident that we all have the internal and external tools to support and build new glasses, specifically new innovative glasses, that is more flexible and more inclusive, more diverse for the needs of today's social issues. Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Thank you, Angelica, Michelle, Stephanie, and Matthew. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, where's Lila? This is the moment that we've been waiting for, the awards announcement. Without further delay, we begin with the first category of awards, Excellence in Writing. It is with great pleasure that I invite Dr. Andrew Bloom to the stage. Dr. Bloom holds the esteemed position of Executive Director of the Joan B. Kroc Institute of Peace and Justice and also serve as a Professor of Practice. Welcome, Andy.
My goodness, I feel like I want to yield my time. I want to hear from more of you students. It's just fantastic to hear from you. As Francis said, I'm the executive director of the Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice, and one of the things we talk a lot about at the Institute is learning with our networks of community partners here in San Diego, around the world. But we learn with our students as well, and one of the maybe secrets that faculty keep is we learn as much from you as you might learn from us, and every word you write and give to us, we are learning from. So I'm really honored to be able to present the awards for excellence in writing. One of the things I told my students this year is one of the really great things about teaching at the Kroc School is we want our students to learn to prosper right now with the world as it is, but also be really critical and shape what's next. And our first award really shows what this looks like. The piece offers a deep and nuanced understanding of transitional justice in Mexico, including its flaws, and how it must be reformed if it is to genuinely promote democracy and human rights. The award for Best Long-Form Piece goes to a discursive struggle to recapture the past, drawing lines of continuity between non-paradigmatic and paradigmatic transitions in Mexico by Franco Castro Escobar. One of the things we like to remind people is the Kroc School is a professional school. And as a professional school, we love to give students the opportunity to write the kinds of documents that they're going to write, in that first job, in that second job. And our next award is a perfect illustration of that. The award for Best Short Form Piece goes to Rwanda, a Human Rights Monitoring Report by Cassandra Barrett. You all couldn't see the look of like surprise. You- Compared to many academic fields, the peace study field is still young. Maybe not an infant, but maybe a teenager. And for this reason, here at the Kroc School, we encourage our students not just to learn, but to contribute. There's still so much to contribute in our field. And this is why I'm really excited we have an award for a published piece. So this year's award for a published piece goes to Benefits and Challenges of Institutionalizing Peacebuilding and Activism in a Post-Liberal World by Claire Bath. Huge congratulations to all the winners. And now I am pleased to be able to welcome Dr. Austin Choi Fitzpatrick to the stage to present the awards for Best Portfolios.
How are y'all doing? You look wonderful. So every Kroc student caps their time here with a portfolio of the work that they're most proud of. And what goes into that is a bit technical. It's a cover letter, it's a resume that they refine so they're ready to hit the market. And it's a series of pieces that they're the most proud of. And what ties it all together is a reflective essay. That's like the technical thing that it is. And it's just a way to actually put together everything that somebody's done and then ask them, what was that, right? But this involves a second thing. So it's not just this technical component. It then ends up personally being this moment of reflection. Why did I come here? Who did I come here as? What did I do while I was here? Who am I now? What am I doing next? Which is not something that looks the same from portfolio to portfolio. It's a challenge that everyone rises to in their own way, for their own reasons, and with their own results. So it's been really hard for that reason to then choose, like, okay, which was the best portfolio? Who had the best journey? Was yours the absolute best? That was the best journey. So some of this is a little bit woo, because everybody had their own journey. And it's hard to choose among all of these because they varied in the journey, they varied in the topics that they wrestled with, thematically, they varied in what kind of actual assets, what kind of essays went into them. Some of them were 75 pages. Franco's was 300 almost. So I'm glad you got an award for that. That's great. I had to read it all, So this is representing folks' individual journeys, right? And so it's hard to choose, but here we are. Such is life. So I'm going to do the best portfolio for the Masters in Peace and Justice first. In her portfolio and reflective essay, this student beautifully describes the root of her influences and drive to work at the intersection of peace and justice. It's come from her family's experience, and in particular, the Tule Lake internment camp. Because of the experiences of her ancestors, she recognized that school is a privilege, and she became interested in how education plays a vital role in influencing narratives. As a student of the dual degree program, the MAPJ and the JD, she sees her work herself and her work in government work, and she sees in that space principles and ideals worth fighting for. And she plans to take with her a, quote, a Kroc-filled toolbox replete with knowledge, skills, strategies, frameworks, and a strong internal sense of self. So the best portfolio for the Masters in Peace and Justice program is awarded to Emily Kawahara. Emily, where are you at? All right, moving on to the best portfolio in the Masters of Social Innovation. Paul and I couldn't agree on one, so we have two. There's a tie. Each of these two candidates I'm about to describe did a tremendous job connecting their passion, prior experience, academic pursuits into their portfolios, pulling these things together, as I'd mentioned earlier. The first recipient described how the Kroc School exposed her to many skills and experiences, including how to recognize the dynamics present within an organization that carry the potential for conflict, and developed the tools and insights to help resolve those challenges. She highlighted how she gained an understanding of her purpose, goals, and leadership style, and how she's begun to create a plan to grow as a leader. And finally, she highlighted how she learned skills to design, monitor, and evaluate social innovation programs. So the first recipient of the best portfolio for the Masters in Social Innovation program is Tanya Pineda. Tanya, very well. I thought, should I say the names before or after so you can actually start doing this early? And the second recipient for Best Massey Portfolio wrote compellingly about the importance of matching the right type of intervention to a particular type of challenge, and her portfolio demonstrated a clear capacity to wrestle with key themes across multiple projects. I'd especially note the recipient's attention to organizations with an emphasis on when they work, when they fall short, and what we can do about that. Second recipient, the Best Massey Portfolio, is Rachel Hodel. Rachel. You can't see it. You can't see it, but my favorite part is the look of shock on people's face. So like, finally, Best Portfolio, Master of Science in Conflict Management and Resolution. The student's portfolio demonstrated she's a gifted storyteller. Her reflective essay creatively describes 3 threads connecting distinctive moments in her life and how these threads drive her in her work. She reflected on how peace is a way of being, how we use story as a way of knowing, and how curiosity can be a way of living. The best portfolio for the Master in Science in Conflict Management and Resolution is Twyla Albrecht. Congratulations, y'all. It's amazing. Next up is Andrew Biros, who is the Associate Director of Social Innovation and Entrepreneurship, who will be giving out our Community Engagement Awards. Welcome, Andrew. Dr. Biros.
Hi, folks. I'm pretty sure I had a baby earlier, so if anyone sees her, just let me know. This one goes out, my name's Andrew Biros. I lead our Institute for Social Innovation here at the Kroc School. This one goes out to everyone in the back. If you are here as a family member, as a friend, I'm confident that you're going to get asked the question at some point over this next week, maybe over a barbecue. Wait, you went to a graduation of peace studies? What is that? And I want you to be ready for a cogent response. And here, I'm sure that our graduates can provide you with one, but because we are a graduate school, it's fun to, when you get a question, to throw a question back at folks. So simply ask whoever gives you that prompt, ask them, wouldn't you agree that there are big challenges in the world that need solving? And if they have any wits about them, they will nod and say, yes, yes, there is. And that is the purpose of a graduate school of peace studies. So solve those problems, graduates, please. So So we have 3 awards that are community-focused awards, and what I also really appreciate about the work that you have accomplished and that you will certainly go on and succeed in is that it is all about people, right? Whether it's about how do we solve and cure systemic violence, how do we create new ideas that tackle climate action, how do we create more peace in the world so that people from different parts of the world are working together, it's all about people. And when you have many people together, it's a community. And these 3 awards, and the students who we're going to talk about, and you're going to get a cool award to put on your mantle, you have fostered community here at the Kroc School and out beyond these walls. So thank you. Please continue doing it. And let's get on with the awards. So the first award, the Joan B. Kroc Award, named after the philanthropist Mrs. Joan B. Kroc, whose generous gift founded the Kroc School and the Institute of Peace and Justice. The person who's going to receive this award is receiving it because this recipient has made an outstanding contribution to the Kroc community, going above and beyond to enhance the student life experience. Through initiatives like, God bless, through the initiatives like Kroc Fest and other endeavors, this person has fostered a strong sense of belonging and community amongst our students, faculty, and staff. His passion and dedication make him a true, courageous changemaker, leaving a lasting impression on both peers and the Kroc community. Please give it up for Bishan Hidari. He's wearing shoes. Oh my gosh. Wow. I love it. I wish I was that cool. The second award is named after someone very, very special, and I'm going to ask this person to wave their hand. This is the Neshla Shurgi Civic Engagement Award. So named after our esteemed colleague, Dr. Neshla Shurgi, in honor of her tireless efforts to the development of the Kroc School and her commitment to engaging Kroc students across our global community. So this person, through numerous educational platforms, including lectures, film screenings, and invited talks, this award recipient has been instrumental in raising awareness about the pressing human rights concerns within the contested territories of Israel and Palestine. These impactful educational endeavors have specifically targeted the Kroc community, the University of San Diego, and the Southern California region. I think y'all know it, so please welcome to the stage Eric Vargas. And the third community award, also named after a very special person, a person who has been the steward of the Kroc School for 9 years, built it up, happened to have hired me. I think that was a good idea. The Patricia Marquez Innovator Award. Where's Patricia? So this award was named after our Kroc Dean, Patricia Marquez, whose 9 years of dedication and service to the Kroc School has led to quadrupling the student body. We need more change makers, quadrupling. Spearheading initiatives to expand the school's global reach and partnerships and expanding Kroc's master's level programming. So this award is going to go to an exceptional group of students who have gone above and beyond in their endeavors beyond the classroom, showcasing remarkable innovation and dedication through a masterful creation. I said earlier there was a question that you could ask at that barbecue. Are there big challenges in the world, something high-minded like that? You could simply ask them, is the world on fire? This group of students have spearheaded the Kroc School's podcast, Is the World on Fire? It's in your app store. Please make sure you subscribe. Their exceptional efforts have made them truly deserving recipients of this prestigious award. In a world where numerous challenges burn relentlessly, their podcast serves as a powerful medium to shed light on these pressing issues through insightful interviews with peace builders, social innovators, experts, academics, and other individuals actively combating these challenges. Is the World on Fire effectively educates and engages listeners? Let me get everyone's name out because this was a group effort. Are you ready? So we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready? Please welcome to the stage Fernando Franco Castro Escobar, Twyla Albrecht, McCoy Turpin, and Taya Clement.
Okay, please join me in giving a resounding round of applause to all of the award recipients and to all those who were nominated as well. Okay, I'm feeling a little Frank Sinatra coming on here. So now the end is near, and so we face the final curtain. It is with great pleasure that I once again welcome our Dean for some closing remarks.
I don't know. I think we should have left Frank Sinatra wannabe because she's doing an amazing job. And I know I'm the person standing with that hug that you want to give your family for everything they have done for you and with you during your stay at the Kroc School. So I just want to wrap it up by saying I've heard the words like teams, villages, community. So it takes a village, a team, and a community to make this happen, not just over the time you were here, but this special event. So I think we need to start by giving a round of applause to the staff, administrators, and the faculty who made this happen. They are everywhere in this theater. They are everywhere. In this corner, back there, Luis, the faculty here, Bianca. So, and even our newest member of the Kroc community, Laila Luz. Correct, Andrew? So it takes a village, and I want to thank them all. I want to thank our amazing speakers, from Teresa Smith, our alumna, to all of you who gave your fabulous words. So thank you very much. I know we're tired, we have been here for a while, but this is so exciting, so amazing. I think we need a better round of applause. That's kind of like we. So now that we're warmed up with the applause, we wanted another round of applause for our award winners and all our amazing graduates of tonight, 2023. And you know, being dean, I always have to insert some business things. So for graduates, you'll stay here because there are a lot of pictures coming your way. But all of us, the rest, we are going to sort of build that energy, get up, continue to applaud and hug and kiss and express our love. We're going to go to our rotunda where a reception waits for us. And yes, your children, your grown-ups, or whatever, they are going to go out too, but after the pictures. So as we do that, I also want to get a special round of applause as we finish this event to the people. They might be sitting in the back and it's dark and I cannot see you. But without you and with your support of these new change makers that, or as Teresa said, some of them might be already advance in their journey. Without you, this would not be possible. So let's applaud to the family and the friends who are here to support the PSJ. Thank you very much. And let's continue to celebrate. Let's express the joy of this great achievement. Thank you.